Snacks. I got a snack for you.
Hey y'all, I'm Kendall. I'll never forget, it was 2006. I sat at lunch with my team chaplain at Logan's Roadhouse when he asked me this question. He said, "Kendall, are you a Christian?" I responded, "Of course I'm a Christian. I'm from Texas." And see, my rationale was, I believe that Jesus died on the cross to save me from my sins. And I believe that I was going to heaven. And I actually believe that whenever I got to the end of my life, no matter kind of what I'd done, that God would kind of just let me off. But then he asked me, "No, do you follow Christ?" And showed me this passage in Matthew chapter 7, and it says this: "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name?' And then Jesus would declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" Gosh, that verse just grabbed my heart, because I'd never really thought about that time when I'd stood before God, who knew where I really was spiritually, to consider the question if I was really a Christian. You see, I believed all of the right things and said all of the right things, but it was at that point that I started to evaluate whether or not my life was one that proved that I really followed Jesus Christ, that I was in a real relationship with Him. You see, it wasn't until I was really courageous and honest that I came to the place to acknowledge that I actually wasn't a follower of Jesus Christ. If you looked at my life, you wouldn't see someone who loved Him, who knew Him, who walked with Him. You would see quite the opposite. And as I came to that realization, I started to hear old truths for the first time. That God actually is a God who's holy, who holds people accountable for their sin. And as I thought about that, I realized how guilty I was before Him, and how much I really needed a Savior, and how God provided just the Savior I needed in His Son Jesus, who lived perfectly, who died on the cross to save me from my sin, to bring me not into a fake relationship with Him, where I said all of the right things and went to church and read my Bible at points in time, but lived how I wanted, but into a real, authentic, true relationship with Him, where I loved Him and followed Him and walked with Him. See, God offered that forgiveness, that relationship that I thought I'd had, but I really never had. And my life was transformed as I turned and actually put my trust in Jesus Christ and His death and His burial and His resurrection for me. And He saved me. And lo and behold, my life started to actually look like I was trying to follow Him. So I don't know where you might be this evening, but I want to ask you a simple question. Are you a Christian? And if you aren't, if you're like me in 2006 at Logan's Roadhouse, and you kind of have the courage to say, I don't know if I am, I want you to hear this invitation. There's a God who loves you enough to die for you on the cross, to invite you into a real and vibrant relationship with Him, one full of purpose and life. Come to Him. That message was just irresistible for me. I hope it will be for you too. Thanks.